Okay, so in describing English morpheme, when it comes to English, we can see that it's not always straightforward. In some cases, morphemes are easy to identify, like when we add the plural s at the end of the word, as in cat, cats. But some plurals do not follow this clear patterns or structuring. Like when we have the word sheep. In the singular form, it is sheep, as well as in the plural form. It's and sheep in both forms. Man becomes men. These changes cannot be explained by a simple inflectional ending. And also in derivational morphology, we can add al to institution, for example, to make it institutional. But we cannot remove the al from the word legal to have the word leg, which is a very different meaning. And this is because not all English words were formed in the same way. So again, moreover, many English words come from different languages. Law came from Old Norse over 1,000 years ago, while legal came from Latin several centuries later. So it is one of the most or the biggest reasons that many words are borrowed from other languages. Okay, so the structural rules of morphological formation and analysis doesn't apply uh, to all words or to all forms of English. Uh, so since a large part of English vocabulary comes from Latin, Greek, and other languages, and fully description of English morphology must consider historical development and borrowed word forms. Morphs and allomorphs. I think we discussed something similar to this in phonology, which is the difference between phones and allophones. If you remember, you can go back and, let's say, remember what was mentioned there, or what was explained about the difference between phones and allophones, and then you can discuss what is the difference between morphs and allomorphs and link them together. So languages often use different forms to express the same grammatical meaning, just like in phonology. We have phonemes, and phones, and in morphology, we have morphemes, and also we have morphs. For example, the word cats has two morphs, the stem, which is the main word, and the suffix, the plural s. And the word buses has the word bus, and added to this is es. And by the way, we can say that morphology and phonology are well related, and they can be discussed and analyzed together in order to understand, or in order to have a clear picture of how languages, or how some of the structure of some languages work. So even though both S and ES show plural meaning, they are different forms, one with E and the other without. So these different forms of the same morpheme are called allomorphs. يتذكروا فكرة إن اللي هم الألوفونز، اللي هو الكومبلمنتري distribution، إنه في عندنا يعني اللي هو الphonological environments, different phonological environments. So if we come to discuss this here in the two examples, cats and buses, we can say that we have two different phonological environments. In the first word, the word ends with t, and the second word ends with s. So in order to break the hiatus of the s sound, we need to insert e here between the two s in order to mark this addition. And we know that without adding e, we just pronounce one s, like in the word Pass. We have two S at the end, but we don't pronounce two S. We just pronounce one S. Why is that? Because there's no vowel insertion in this case. So allomorphs here can be represented here in the two examples, cats and buses, because S and S are both, let's say, plural suffixes added to these words, but they are different forms. When we say they are different forms of the same morpheme. وهذول different forms بسموهم ايش؟ allomorphs. And finally, we have some examples here also. Sheep, plural is sheep. There's no change. So the plural morpheme has a zero morpheme. So this is zero morpheme. وهذا له أيضا اللي هو this is another variety of allomorph of morpheme. Sorry, man plural is man and vowel change at to e, which is another kind of allomorph also. So allomorphs also appear in verbs, walk, past tense, like walked, regular, and go, went, which is irregular. So in short, morphs are the actual forms of morphemes, and allomorphs are the different forms a single morpheme can take depending on the word it attaches to. Thank you.